Hi, I'm Boss Skills, and I'm just going to be talking about how you kind of get better at actually learning TFT as opposed to just, looking at tier list and kind of reading off sites, but how do you actually improve at the game? And I think a lot of it is just mindset and figuring out how to intentionally think, which is sort of asking why. And the main thing I sort of mean by this is you have to ask yourself why about all of your decisions. And I would just start with something very simple, right? Like if I was starting right now, the first thing I would do is think about my stage one, right? And what units I'm buying on stage one. And just asking myself, why am I buying these units on stage one? Is it because my items make sense for them? Is it because I think these units are stronger than the other units? I think this opener is really good. What's the reasoning behind it? And after you do that, you have to confirm it, right? You have to check whether your reasoning makes sense or your reasoning is correct. Most of the time, your reasoning is probably going to be wrong, which is why you clicked on this video, right? If you clicked on this video and you're 1900 LP, your reasoning will be correct a lot of the time. But if you clicked on this video and you're 100 LP or 200 LP or 500 LP, your reasoning is going to be wrong most of the time. Your reasoning is going to be inaccurate when compared to someone who has 1000 LP on you, right? And that's probably why you're lower LP. So the way you sort of figure it out, there are a few ways, right? If you have like a group of people to talk to, that's great. And you should definitely ask them, but usually they're going to be around your rank, right? If you have a study group or study partners, usually they're going to be around the same rank as you. And so their reasoning is also not going to be that accurate. You can make deductions as a group and it'll probably be more accurate than your solo deductions, but they might not be more accurate than what someone 1500 LP above you would think about your strategy, right? The main ways you can do it are you can just watch someone who's, like you can open up Setsuko, Dish Soap, Wage and Iverson, whoever's rank one, whoever's rank two, etc. Someone stream that's very good at the game and kind of make your decision based on what they do and what you do and kind of just take their word as law and think through like why they are doing things, right? It's like, oh, they're holding Kog'Maw pair here over Seraphine 2 because they have, open bow, open cloak to make Kraken Slayer, right? So even though they could have a Seraphine 2, they'd rather just hold the Kog'Maw pair because if they do hit the Kog'Maw pair, it's infinity times better than the Seraphine 2 that they don't really have items for. The other way is you can just ask directly, right? And this one won't work if you're asking anyone with over 1,000 viewers. It's relatively unlikely that you're going to get answers to your questions all the time. Usually there's enough going on in their chat and in their stream where it doesn't really make sense for them to just sit there answering questions about like their stage one or what augment they're selecting or why they make this decision on 3-2, 3-5, whatever the case is. And so the other way is you kind of just want to go into lower viewership streamers who, are still like Challenger, 1200, 1100, whatever the case is. You just go to someone with less than 100 views and just ask them, right? Like, why did they make this decision? And they'll probably be less accurate than the guys with 1800 LP, right? Because if you have more ladder points or if you're better than someone, it's because over a long period of time, your decisions are going to be more accurate, right? Or your decisions are more likely to be more accurate. And so the thing is, if you're 100 LP and you ask someone who's 1200 LP, their decisions are more likely to be accurate than yours. And so on like a case to case basis, you could be more correct than them, right? But if you find that you're studying, you're watching people play, you're asking streamers, and you always come to a different answer than they come to, and they're all 1,000 LP above you, you have to change how you think. And you have to kind of accept that your mindset is probably wrong or your mindset isn't accurate. And you sort of just have to make that acceptance and then figure it out from there, right? Like, how do I change my opinion of this? You should hold the Kog'Maw here instead of the Seraphine because the Seraphine 2 has never been a streak with a Kraken Slayer on it. Those are just like the basic examples, but it really just comes down to intentional thinking and intentionally figuring out every single one of your decisions and just getting better at that. And again, I would just start in stage one, right? Because it's the easiest place to start. And you go through a million stage ones every game and it affects or a million stage one decisions and they all affect like the rest of your game. The second question you sort of have to ask yourself is when to diverge from the traditional sort of basic line of thinking. And so some examples of this are going to be like when you can and can't level on 3-2, when you can and can't level on 3-5, like what stage you should be going to level 8 and rolling on in the case of like playing a level 8 comp, when you should level on 2-1, when you shouldn't level on 2-1, those sort of things, right? And usually it'll come down to a matter of gold or like how many units you want to hit, unit odds, things like that. So like for stage 2 decisions, it'll usually come down to like unit odds, like how do you scale your board, right? Basically, like to simplify it in reality, it'll be like if you have 4 1-cost pairs, you never want to level on 2-1 because you want to play around in your 2-star 1 costs. Versus if you have an augment or an item, or like you have the synergies for certain 3 costs that you really would prefer to play around, or like if 3 costs really spike your board, 2 costs really spike your board, it makes a lot more sense to level on 2-1, especially if your board is already strong or already has upgraded 1 costs. And then again, 4-2 is just going to be like a gold check. Like, do I have enough gold to hit my units? When do I have enough gold to hit my units? Like, when am I not contested enough to hit my units? And you can kind of formulate your own general rules. I'm not going to go over like my personal general rules in this video because it's just going to be too long. And then just going to go over like some comparisons to learning poker because I'm a much weaker poker player than I am a TFT player, but I kind of got the idea to make this video just because I was sort of restarting to study poker. And one thing that kind of annoyed me is there's no real like roadmap. A lot of times, like if you try and get poker content, it'll be like, oh, in this specific spot, like you have to do this, you have to do this, like do this to exploit people to the max, like do this to beat fish, whatever. And I feel like TFT content is generally pretty similar, where like a lot of content is just like tier lists and like guides on how to play comps. But that changes every set, right? Like you're not, I don't, like you can definitely get better from reading them and like from following them. I just don't think you'll get meaningfully better in to the point of like meeting your goals or like actually getting better at the game, right? Like someone can teach me this OP poker strategy against like this certain type of player. And like I'll be better against that certain type of player, but it won't actually make me better or much better at poker in the long run as compared to, studying a different way. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because I think the way people think about studying TFT is sort of flawed. And like it's not fun to study TFT correctly, which is why I think a lot of people actually also don't do it. Besides the fact that a lot of the studying that people do is just misguided. But I'll probably make follow-ups going through like an actual roadmap of how I would start studying. All right.